Everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster 3, and this is going to be somewhat of another type of video which I haven't made in a while. This is going to be my thoughts and my ranking of the Children of the Corn films. So yeah, I'm gonna start with just my opinion on each and every Children of the Corn film, and then I'm just gonna rate them a little quick. So yeah, let's begin right away. And before I start, I'm just gonna mention that I'm not gonna talk about the remake or the newer Children of the Corn film that came out maybe 1 or 2 years ago now, because I don't think that movie has ever been released over here. So yeah, that's the reason why. So I'm pretty much gonna go through part 1 up to part 8. So yeah, let's begin right away. First up, we have the very first one, Children of the Corn from 1984, directed by Fritz Keir, who also did one of my favorite teen films called Tough Turf. Somewhat of an underrated film, that movie, but anyway, Children of the Corn. This is the first one in the series, and this has Linda Hamilton in it, and what's his name? The other guy, Peter Horton, who plays Bert in this. Um, what can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said? It's about these two people. They going through this town of Gatlin because they basically don't want to go to Gatlin to begin with, because they're gonna go to the other town nearby called what's the other title of the other not Gatlin, but the town that's in the other. Oh damn, what's that other? Oh, not Gatlin, come on. Well, I can't come up with a name right now, but there's another town nearby that they're supposed to go to, but everywhere they go, they just see signs of Gatlin all everywhere. So they decided, well, why then not just go through Gatlin and then we will be on our way out of here. But of course, some years before, the children has killed their own parents in this town, so this town is basically abandoned. Not abandoned, but there's only kids there. So yeah. Now I don't want to say anything else because I think most horror people, not horror people, but most horror fans have probably already seen this movie. Sorry, I'm mumbling here now for 3 minutes because I'm an asshole today. Well, anyway, Children of the Corn, the first one, I really like this. I really like the bad guys in this one as well, Malachi and Isaac. And this is one of the first horror films I remember watching. This was like my introduction to horror films in general, I would say. So, but yeah, Children of the Corn, great film. Yeah, I'm not gonna rate it right away because I'm gonna save that for later and then rank them in how I like them. So yeah, Children of the Corn, the first one. Then we have Children of the Corn 2, the Final Sacrifice, which probably they didn't even intend to make a part 3 of when they came up with that title. But yeah, most people tend to not really like this one as much as the first one. But one thing which I really, I mean, I know some people don't like the characters in this, but I think the characters are really interesting in this one. And I think the main guy, the guy who plays the bad guy in this, Micah Ryan Bowman, he does a great job of portraying like a bad guy in general. He looks really evil. I think he had some contact lenses on, because his eyes are just black, and the way he speaks and everything, you can just feel the anger and the hate in him. And the soundtrack as well is really good. I mean, the first one had a really good soundtrack in the opening credits, but so does this movie. But this is more not smooth, but this is more. It's very atmospheric. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's sort of like relaxing to listen to in a way, which doesn't really. You shouldn't say that when you're watching a horror film, but I really love that soundtrack to this movie as well. But yeah, and my favorite scene in this is probably the scene in the church. And for those of you people who have seen this movie, you know what scene I'm talking about. So yeah, Children of the Corn 2. I think this is very underrated. And then we have Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest. Gotta love this cover art, by the way. This movie is about two brothers who escape Gatlin, and they get adopted by this family that lives in, I think it's in Chicago. I'm not too sure. Is it? Yeah, Chicago. And apparently one of these brothers, he killed his father, but we don't really know that from the get go. Well, we do know that from the get go, but his brother doesn't know about that. So there's like basically this one evil brother, and then this this other brother who wants to adapt to the new life, but the other brother is still like pretty much obsessed with he who walks behind the rose. So yeah, that's it for you. I'm not gonna spoil what's gonna happen in this film, but I would say this is not as good as the previous two ones, even though there's like a quote here from the back, like better than the both of the ones before. But yeah, still an entertaining film. I just don't really like the ending that much. I think the ending is they tried way too hard in this. In that, I'm not really sure if you could call it that they tried too hard, because for those of you who have seen this, it's pretty damn ridiculous, but still sort of like funny in a way as well. But yeah, up to that point, I think it's a pretty damn entertaining film. So yeah, Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest. And then we have Children of the Corn 4, which for some reason was called Children of the Corn Deadly Harvest over here in Sweden, but the original title is Children of the Corn 4 The Gathering, which I think is a much better title. It seems like some idiot thought it was a good way of calling it Deadly Harvest. I think The Gathering is a much better title considering what this movie is about. But most of these Children of the Corn films, they don't really have that much to do with each other. It feels they have sort of with each other. It's sort of the same type of concept, but with different characters. So yeah, but anyway, this feels more of a demon ghost story, because there's like this leading guy who I think was killed off in some really twisted way, like years and years before, and he comes back to haunt the inhabitants in this town, or like this small village or whatever. And it's up to this doctor to pretty much stop this, because all of the children is like having this weird disease, like I think it's like blood fever or something like that. I'm not too sure if you call it like that, but and they don't really know how to stop it. And it's basically they have to beat this demon kid or whatever. What's his name? Josiah, I believe. So yeah, but the anyway, Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering. I wouldn't say. I mean, it seems like these movies gets worse and worse for each movie that comes out. I think this has some really good moments in it. Some of the death scenes in this is really good, but I think some of its pacing is not as good as the other ones. This feels more. It feels like more scenes are dragging on for way too long, and for those scenes, some of those scenes that were supposed to be atmospheric, they were just dull in my opinion. But that's just what I think. So yeah, Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering. And then Children of the Corn 5, which is called, let's see here, Fields of Terror. I believe this was also known as Fields of Screams at one point as well. Maybe that was the VHS title or something like that. But I can say most of these films I actually do like, but this one I did not care that much for whatsoever. I mean, I don't think it's that horrible that many other people think, but I don't think it's particularly good either. And this is a film which I actually did like more before, but now after I watched it again, I didn't like it as much. And the main problem I have with this film is that it shouldn't even be called Children of the Corn. It should be called like Teenagers of the Corn, because almost like there's like 90% of the so-called like children in this film, they are clearly like older than 18, or at least it looks like it. So yeah, that doesn't really work. And there's some characters that just doesn't make any sense. Like, why are they even in this film? So like David Carradine's character and Fred Williamson's character in this is just why are they there? There's like no explanation. There's another weird scene where like some girl sacrifices herself for no particular reason whatsoever. She's like been reading this book about he walks behind the rose, and then all of a sudden she decides to take her own life. And like, why? So maybe that's some people find that charming, but I feel that's more frustrating in this film. The cast, it's a really weird cast as well, but yeah, it's all right. I wouldn't say it's not super bad as so many people seem to think, but I don't think it's that good either. So it's like, meh. And then we come to something which I think is quite controversial, but here we have Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return, which I think most people really, really hate. I'm probably one of those very few people that actually do like this film. I think the main reason why I like this so much is because of the weird atmosphere. This is a weird atmosphere, which is you can't really put your fingers on. I can't put my fingers on why I like this so much, but I think it has something to do with some of the connections to the first film and the return of Isaac, of course. So the main problem I have with this is the other bad guy. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but the other bad guy in this is he's really overdoing it, and I don't think that was necessary. I mean, I just thought they could have had another actor or like someone else to play the other bad guy, which I think that was the main problem with this film. But Isaac is pretty good in this. He is really creepy in this one. And one thing which I also really like is the soundtrack, and I really like the opening score and the opening like sequence, like the title, the opening credits. Oh my god, I love that. There's like a sundown or like a sun coming up, and there's like some weird guy or like some weird kid walking around in the cornfields. It's pretty dark, but still you can see the sun coming up, and this guy is like walking around with the sight really slowly in the cornfields. I think that's very good and very atmospheric and good cinematography. But yeah, yeah, most people probably don't like this one. I really like it, except for the other like bad guy in this film. Other than that, I mean, it's slow from time to time, and some things doesn't really make any sense. But I think that's sort of the charm to it. Yeah, Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return. And then we have Children of the Corn 7, Revelation, which this is probably one of my least favorites in the entire series. It's really hard to get through because I think it shouldn't even be called Children of the Corn to begin with. I think it should be called like Demon Kids of the Apartment Building or something like that, because that's more of a It felt like the cornfields are just shoved in there just to call this film Children of the Corn. And I love the fact that they display like Michael Ironside on the back of this DVD, but he barely... He's like appearing in maybe like 3 or 4 minutes maximum, and I think that's just so cheap when they do something like that, because Michael Ironside is probably the... I mean, I was like, oh, Michael Ironside is probably going to be in this. He's just going to be badass, but yeah, it felt like he was sort of lured into this film. Like he didn't know what movie was signed up for, and when he realized what it was, he was like, oh, fuck this shit. I don't say that's the case, but it seems like it. But yeah, this film is really boring, and it's about this woman who she wants to get in contact with her grandmother because her grandmother doesn't answer her telephone calls. So she's really like upset about that, and she finds out that she's been moving into this like rundown apartment building, and she has no reason or no, she doesn't have any idea why she did that or that grandmother did that. So it's basically up to this woman to find out the secrets about her grandmother and what the hell happened in this building. So yeah, one of the weakest ones in the series in my opinion. But yeah, then we have Children of the Corn Genesis, which I do not have on DVD. I actually was so lazy because I found this film on YouTube. Oh god, don't even bother by picking this movie up because I thought this was really, really, really bad. I mean, Billy Drago is in this film, and in the beginning, you're sort of laughing at it because he's just sitting in his chair, like rocking back and forward, and he's like mumbling stuff about he walks behind the rose that doesn't make any sense, and there's no atmosphere in the film, and the whole film just feels so damn long and so damn boring. And it just runs for 1 hour and 20 minutes, but it feels like it runs for like 2 hours at least. Yeah, this film was terrible. It's yeah, that's all I can say about that. But now we come to the ratings. I'm gonna start with the ones which I like the least, and then we're gonna work our way up to number 1. So let's see here. Maybe I should put these in another type of. Let's see here. We have this one part. Sorry for doing like this, but this is the only way I can think of at the moment. And then we have this one. This one. Okay, now I think I've gotten it right. Okay, first of all, we have Children of the Corn Genesis, which I gave 2 out of 10 stars. Really frustrating and boring film. And then we have at number, I don't really know what number, but next in the list is Children of the Corn Revelation. Awful, awful film. I don't like it at all. Then we have Children of the Corn Fields of Terror. Not as bad as so many people tend to say, but still not a good film. Pretty frustrating. Then we have Children of the Corn 4 The Gathering. It's slightly better than part 5, but not by much. Then we have Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest. Really entertaining. Then this is probably going to be the one which is sort of shocking to people. This is at number 3. Children of the Corn 666 Isaac's Return. Most people are probably, oh, fuck you, your opinions suck. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, you have to deal with it. And at number 2, we have Children of the Corn 2, Final Sacrifice. And at number 1, we have the first one, Children of the Corn. Sorry for talking for almost like, let's see here, almost 17 minutes now, because yeah, sometimes that's what happens. But yeah, I did my best, and hopefully this video did make sense, but because I didn't put them in any order, because I had to first talk about them and then rank them, so that's the reason why it got a little chaotic there towards the end. So yeah, but anyway, this is my opinion about the Children of the Corn films, and yeah, would be awesome to see your other guys like reactions, or like your other guys, not reactions, but your opinion about these films, of which film do you like the most, which film do you like the least in this franchise. Like I said before, I haven't watched the remake and I haven't watched the newer one, because those films doesn't seem to be films seems to be pretty damn hard to come across over here, so that's the reason why I didn't include them, and why I haven't watched them. So yeah, hope everyone enjoyed and didn't get bored, and I hope to see you again as soon as possible. So see you next time. Bye bye.